He's returning up to 11.
Welcome to the Undrafted Uncensored cast of Pod. Hosted by Nick Archuleta. Mosted by Colin Zanker. And last but certainly is least, Joseph Goodwin.
Welcome in, everyone, to the Undrafted Uncensored, where I would be a good teammate, and if you guys gotten bullied onto the ground, I would go defend you and throw some fists. I wouldn't be like Caitlin Clark's teammates and just let you flop there. I would take care of you.
Angel Reese was certainly happy about that.
Oh, I'm sure.
Angel Reese wishes she did it.
Yeah. Speaking of Caitlin Clark, did you see the news today? She has been left off of Team USA's roster.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those catty bitches. Yeah.
Stupid.
Wow. This woman is doing everything she can to. She's basically like the Lisa Leslie of this generation and trying to get this game promoted and get them to be something again, you know? And all these girls are just being so catty.
Yeah,
and
it's not her fault that the media is talking about her more than they ever were you guys before. It's not even their fault. The women players that are taking umbrage to the fact that Caitlin Clark gets so much attention. And it's not even her. It's Clark. It's Cam Brink. It's Angel Reese. It's, the old heads, they only got headlines when Brittany Griner got detained in Russia, which thank God she's back. That's still a terrible, horrifying situation. But the WNBA has this unnecessarily large chip on their shoulder. They feel like they need to prove something to everyone. No, we were good before. We never needed these. No, you need as much exposure as you can get, and you may have had a good product before and still do have a good product, but Caitlin Clark is going to elevate that product. Even if she ends up sucking like Christian Laettner, that's still going to get eyes on your sport. Just let it happen. It was fun for a while in the first few games when she had 15 turnovers a game.
Is she even going to make it? Well, but the thing is, oh man, why am I blanking on her name from the Sky who elbowed her?
Oh, Kennedy.
It's Kennedy or something.
Yeah,
or is it pronounced Kennedy?
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
CH.
So she got released she was the number 8 overall pick, I want to say.
Yeah.
She was
number 4.
Or number 4, that's right. She was released from her team because of her actions. She's been released 3 times because of the type of person player she is. She's just kind of a thug going out there and doesn't really want to play basketball. It's worse than a
Draymond Green.
Draymond Green. Yeah, but it's even worse. Draymond at least he has his moments, but he's still trying to play basketball. But she's just a dirty, dirty player. And when you think about what Caitlin Clark's impact is, the Washington Mystics, who haven't won a game this season, just played Caitlin Clark's team, and they went from a 4,000-person arena to a 20,000-person arena and sold it out.
Yep.
You say you don't want to respect her, or you don't want to treat her well, or she's got to get used to the game. Well, guess what? If you don't want her playing in your arena, let's have her take some rest days when she decides to play your team because of how you're treating her. I understand you might not be happy that she's getting all the attention, but you still don't put a flat out target on someone's back who is improving your game, as you said, Nick.
She's giving you a bigger contract.
Exactly. And if you don't like her playing, just have her sit out the games against your team and see what happens to your ticket sales and see how happy ownership is. I would love for Caitlin. I mean, she's not going to, because then people would say she's dodging a team. But I would love for the next time she's playing the Chicago Sky, say, hey, if this girl's on the court with me, I'm not going to set foot on the court. She's a maniac. I don't know if she's going to hurt me and ruin my career, a la Ray Fosse and Pete Rose. Who knows?
He's a maniac on the floor. Sorry.
The other thing too about this has been driving me nuts is all these people that are like, oh, she should be charged with assault and that was so. I'm like, How is that? That's basketball. I mean, it's over the top basketball. That's not criminal.
Yeah.
That's just playing too hard. How dumb are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
go
go ahead. Well, I was just gonna say, if you saw someone give someone an elbow on the street, yeah, they could, sue you or do something with assault, but also it's not going to be a large charge. It's a ticket probably.
Yeah.
Some sort of misdemeanor, and definitely it gets pleaded down. And you're talking about a sport that is physical, and yeah, the women's game is tough. I mean, they bang in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
It's more physical than the men's game. The women's game, though, seriously, like, it reminds me more of like early 2000s, late 90s, hard nose, a lot of post play. There's only one real famous shooter in the league before Caitlin Clark got there, Sabrina Ionescu. Like, that's the style of play. It's a lot of, there'd be more dunking if the rims were lower, but like, that's just the way it is. And it's kind of fun to watch, and I feel more about like that particular hit. I don't have as much of a problem with. It's the overall reception to Caitlin Clark and the other rookies too, of just trying, like, I totally agree that that's kind of a welcome to the WNBA moment of, like, Gordie Howe's nickname was Elbows. I know it's a different sport. But like, throwing elbows is a time-honored tradition in most sports. So I don't love having the person who, like, is quote unquote a thug in the league being the one to do that to her. But at the end of the day, somebody had to. And again, to go back to hockey, I've seen the movie Goon. Somebody has to be the goon out there. Somebody has to establish that you can't just go out there and shoot all the time. It's kind of like the Jordan rules that the Pistons had. Obviously, Caitlin Clark has not gotten herself to that level yet because she's a rookie. But they're treating her that way. And I don't have as much problem with the physical play. It's just the shade thrown, the clear just anger and resentment toward. So that's what I more have an issue with than the actual hit. But I'm also kind of like, I'm old school. I like when people get hit in sports. It's fun. As long as you get back up and you're not injured and there was no malice behind it, you're not.
There was malice.
Gobert to go back to. You're right. There was a little. You're right.
I mean, she was standing there with her back turned to her, and she runs up to her when she's standing alone. I have no problem if you're playing basketball. That's not a basketball play. She's waiting for an inbounds pass, and she's yelling, "You bitch!" coming up behind her. And throwing her body into her and knocking her to the ground. That's not a basketball play. That's
clip again. Then I missed that part. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah, it's an inbounds pass. She's standing alone. It's not a basketball play. There is a welcome to the sport, welcome to the big leagues, kid type of moment. And Caitlin's gonna have to learn how to, play basketball in the WNBA, which is gonna be different, much like Steph had to learn in the NBA as well with his shooting. He's gonna have to learn how to get open. It's obviously, we talked about this before, it's a more physical game. But those plays are not to be celebrated like Angel Reese with her after she elbows her to the ground with there was no basketball thing involved. She just yelled, "You bitch," ran up behind her and elbowed her. And then after the game, I'm not going to talk about Caitlin Clark. Did she say anything to you? I don't know if Caitlin Clark said anything. I'm guessing she said nothing. And she just decided out of her own, spiteful heart to go after her, elbow her, and take her to the ground.
Well, and then she made a statement, I think yesterday, that she doesn't expect an apology because it's basketball. She said it was a play, it was a basketball play. She got fouled, and it was time to move on. She's like, I don't care anymore. I'm moving on and moving forward. I have a season to play.
Yeah.
And that's the right tied to it.
That's good.
That's how you should go. Because even though Caitlin Clark isn't a super physical player, so she's not going to come back with that, hit her in the mouth type thing. But she's got the next time they play that team circled on the schedule. She's going in and she's going to be hitting all the threes, hopefully not having as many turnovers. And she's going to come back and try to get her revenge. But also, she can't look like a bitch, which is a gender neutral term. And like back down from this. You can't go out there complaining and saying it was dirty and I want an apology and this is not okay, because even though those things would be correct, like Colin just said, it's not a basketball play. It was I almost said nefarious, which is not accurate, but a fun word. But her saying those things would make it look so much worse. So I think she's doing absolutely the right thing by just kind of brushing it off and saying, I don't care. And then she'll probably get her back on the court, hit a nice 3 over her or something. But even though all those things are true, it's nice to not hear Caitlin Clark complaining and saying those things and letting her play do the talking.
Yeah, I just hope Indiana plays Chicago at home in Indiana, and then when they go back to Chicago, Caitlin Clark sits out that game and announces it beforehand and see what happens to ticket sales and attendance.
Yeah. Load management.
And be like, hey, Angel, are people coming for you for this? Yeah, some will. But you got to know what's drawing and helping your sport. You might not, like I said, respect the player or like them, but they're helping you in that sport. So
yeah,
you got to go for it.
Speaking of going for it, it's time for us to go for it, boys. First things first, before we go into the schedule,
Colin's worried.
Cortland Sutton will be at training camp, so everybody can shut up about this now. We all knew he was going to show up.
No, we
didn't.
It
was a nothing story. You knew he was going to show up. He's not that dumb. He's not going to cost himself that much money. So,
would he get fined? Okay, I didn't.
Yeah, he would get fined if he didn't show up.
Okay. I figured he was going to stay out as long as he possibly could, because he does deserve a new contract, and the Broncos shouldn't give it to him. Like, the Broncos can't afford to pay a guy that with the skill set like Cortland Sutton. They really kind of need to get the draft picks for that guy, because the
Broncos can't afford to pay anybody.
Exactly, and Cortland Sutton deserves to get paid. He played better than his contract pays him.
He's got 2 years left on the deal. If he had 1 year, I'd agree, but he's got 2 years. You don't see 2 years ahead of time deals getting done and contracts getting changed.
No,
unless it's Christian McCaffrey.
No, the deal won't get done with the Broncos. It shouldn't get done with the Broncos. If the Broncos did that deal, it would be a bad deal. Other teams doing that deal is not a bad deal. If the rumor is the Eagles, if they bring him in and extend him decently, like that's a smart play. That's
also a mistake they can make, and he's not going to be a number 1, number 2.
No, but they don't.
He wants to get paid like a number 1, number 2, and he's playing like a number 3.
But he'd be the best number 3 in the NFL, and that's, I think, about what he's worth. And the Broncos, like, that's sad that our number 1 receiver would be a number 3 on a contending team, but that's just kind of how it is. But the contract that they paid him is now, kind of moot. That's
what you get for signing early.
Oh yeah, exactly. That's how it goes. It's not a huge deal one way or the other, I feel like, but he's played better than that contract pays him, so he should probably get more. But it can't be here because this team is not ready to compete. They're not ready to pay people. So hopefully they can get something for him, because he deserves to go somewhere else and actually compete for a championship. And the Broncos need as many draft picks as they can get, and they need as much playing time for guys like Troy Franklin, guys like Marvin Mims. Like I said a few podcasts ago, it's a little concerning if your top 3 guys are Cortland Sutton, Tim Patrick, and Josh Reynolds, who all have a very similar skill set. So I feel like it's kind of will work out for both ways if they end up being able to move him. But we'll see.
Go ahead, Colin.
You still don't do it with 2 years left on the contract. He outplayed it for 1 season, but has he outplayed it for the other parts, for the other seasons? No. So, yeah, he had a good season, but you still have 2 years left on the deal. If there's 1 year left, that's when you start working on getting another deal done. Now, you mentioned Christian McCaffrey. He's not Christian McCaffrey. If he was a superstar, that's when you look at getting a deal done, especially with a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix, because it would help to have Cortland Sutton, a big receiver who can make plays.
Yeah, well, they're not going to get a deal done. A deal is not happening.
But the thing is you're not getting a deal 2 years ahead of time when you are not a superstar. And it doesn't matter what he played like last year, because then why don't you point to the other years where he didn't play up to that and say, well, you're pretty much average then, aren't you?
This is a prove it year for him. And the Broncos know it. Court knows it. I mean, obviously he's doing what he can to try and get his money, and I respect that. You know, you think you deserve more, so go for it. But this is a prove it year. You want to be a leader. You want to be that guy. You want to be the number one. You want to get paid like a number one. Show up and be a number one. That means lead these kids that are showing up. Show them how it's done. Do it right, and take everybody under your wing and make us forget that we're supposed to be watching Tim Patrick right now.
I don't think that helps anybody. That doesn't help Cortland. That doesn't really help the Broncos because they need to get those young guys on the field. They can't be putting Cortland Sutton out there hoping to actually win games. Like, they're not actually going out there to win games. They're going out there to build for the future. So I feel like keeping around a guy who's old and
he's not even old though.
He's old in receiver terms, and with his torn ACL on his resume, he's old and he's slow. He's a great jump ball receiver. He can go up and get the ball, and that's fantastic.
And you're naming reasons why the Broncos aren't giving him an extension and why he's not getting traded.
He's never getting an extension.
He's not going to get traded either.
He's going to get traded because there's no reason to keep him. I feel like there's teams that want him more than the Broncos. The Broncos can use those draft picks, and the Broncos need that playing time for other guys. I don't see why he's still here, except the Broncos are trying to get the best thing for him, maybe. Like, if he's here at the beginning of the season, cool, but his skill set doesn't even fit that well with the Broncos offense and Bo Nix. Bo Nix is a short yardage, quick pass. He will throw deep for sure, because everyone has to throw deep at some point.
Did you still need that threat?
Yeah, but Marvin Mims is that threat. Troy Franklin could be that threat.
Marvin Mims hasn't proved himself yet.
Marvin Mims is a Pro Bowler as a
special teamer.
Yeah, but he's still a good enough receiver.
That's like saying I'm an all-star, but I was a DH.
Yeah, they don't need a receiver to prove themselves as an old 30-something-year-old guy making a bunch of money. They need young guys to come out and prove themselves. Like, they need to move Cortland Sutton to get draft picks, and then Cortland Sutton can go and live his best life, which he should do. And the Broncos should focus on what they actually have that can be built towards the future. Like, my favorite player on the team is probably Tim Patrick, but if they can trade him for some draft picks, they should do that. That's just how it is with this team right now. They need to build assets and build, like I keep saying, for the future. And Cortland Sutton, as much as we like having him here, and he's a staple of the mediocre Broncos offenses that we've had, sadly, it's too late. The window for Cortland Sutton to be a championship contributor on your team is gone. Your team was never good enough when he was good enough. And now he's still good, but you're never going to get there. So get some draft picks for him and move on and make everybody happy. Like Von Miller. You moved on from him probably a little bit too late, but it was nice to have him here for a while. But
first of all, mediocre offense is being way too nice to the Broncos over the past few seasons, Joe. So get your crap together. And Nick, don't you dare talk shit about DHs being MVPs and not all-stars, all right? Elias Diaz winning me my $500 last year, DH home run in the All-Star game. How dare you? No. I'm not going to let that slide. He won MVP, yes.
Did he?
Nice. I apologize.
Yeah. The DH is perfectly part of that. So as a punt returner is also a Pro Bowler. Yeah, but as a wide receiver, Marvin Mims was on the field for 5% of the plays. Whatever it was. It might be right, but I think it was 20 offensive plays he was on the field for the season.
Yeah.
My apologies, Colin. Apologies.
You have to, put some respect on the DH's name, all right?
Yeah.
Jackass.
Put some respect on Marvin Mims' name. And Elias Diaz.
And the kick game is going to be a big part. I would love to see Mims in the passing game, but with what it looks like the kicking game is going to be this year, Mims could be a very valuable piece in that. I don't want to say Devin Hester or Cordell Patterson, but he could be
the best ever.
Yeah, but he could be one of those very impactful guys. I'm trying to think of what his name is. Dante Hall. Dante Hall is who I was thinking of. Yes.
Nice.
The other Chiefs. That's who I think he could really be. And if that means that his offense, that he doesn't take steps offensively, that's okay. If the kicking game is going to be a larger part of the game, I would be fine with Mims really just focusing on that and being a Pro Bowler specialist great guy there. Sometimes we try and move these guys around too much and do too many other things. It's like, yo,
Devin
do
Hester
what you're
played
great at.
corner and receiver and all the other positions. He was a kick returner. That's it.
Yeah. So I would love to see Mims out there, receiving everything more. But if he's going to be that dynamic in the kicking game, save it up and be special when those moments happen.
Be special on those teams.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here it is, boys. Here it is.
Oh, are we doing a pick
time? Yeah, that's what we talked about last week.
We did talk about that. I've been working overnights and this morning
it's in the text
drinking, so I've been forgetting a lot of the stuff that we've said because it's nighttime for me. I'm gonna pass out pretty soon. That's why you see me drinking a glass of whiskey at 9:00 in the morning.
I'm not judging. Anyway, here's the schedule, and the Broncos, of course, start on the road again because the NFL loves the Broncos, and they're sending them up to the Pacific Northwest again to play the Seattle Seahawks at this time 2:05 in the afternoon because it wasn't quite worthy enough for the nighttime cap.
Nope. This game against Seattle, obviously
first game without Pete Carroll.
First game without Pete Carroll. It's going to be a different team. Obviously, still Geno Smith led, most likely. He got that extension at Seattle, starting there. When you sit and look at it, is it going to be Stidham or is it going to be Bo Nix?
Handy dandy notebook.
That's the other problem too. Is there's still that debate where do you throw him to the Wolves or do you give him a couple weeks to adjust? Well, again, that's why this is the too early pick 'em.
I love it. Yeah, we're calling it too early for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't like having a philosophy for that because I feel like it's different for every guy. Bo Nix seems like he's going to be pretty ready, so I would say throw him in. Guy, like Paxton Lynch never seemed ready, so you never wanted to really throw him in. Drew Lock was kind of in between, where it's like, I don't feel like he's ready, but I don't feel like he's going to get ready unless we throw him in either. So I feel like Bo Nix is the guy that you want to put in. And I feel like, too, with the way the Broncos are set up. But then again, Stidham's been surprising people in camp from the reports that I've heard. So maybe he ends up starting. But I feel like for the way this team is set up, it's got to be Bo Nix week 1.
Well, of course he's surprising people at camp. That's because he's been in the system for 2 years. He's supposed to look better. If he didn't look better than either Zach Wilson or Bo Nix, it would be kind of concerning. Like, why did you pay this man $5 million a year, even though he is a backup? He's been in the system. He should look better. So I don't know. I have a big. I have the Broncos losing this game.
Okay. Joe?
This is Seattle.
Yeah.
I want to beat Seattle really bad. Does that mean that we can? I have no idea, but I really, really want to. They have a new coach. Fuck it. Taking the dub.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going to. They have a new coach, new system. Geno's got to adjust a little bit. Granted, he's a decent quarterback. That team's in a little bit of a transition right now. So I will give the benefit of the doubt to the Broncos, whether or not they have a rookie quarterback. I think it'll be more of a veteran quarterback that first week, just because he wants to protect his assets. So Broncos win week 1.
Got to cover his ass.
Imagine that. Nick thinks the Broncos come out strong.
Yeah, I know. Shocker.
I don't know if you read the intro, but everything has come true so far.
Literally everything.
My little word splooge about this show. Will Nick be wearing his glasses?
No, shut up.
How bad will the Broncos be, according to Colin? And is Joe even paying attention?
Colin said the Broncos
Get
would
it.
go 6-11 last
Nope,
year.
no,
so-
I'm talking about paying attention
Week
with
two,
where I
Broncos.
pick them. Oh, it's all been true so far.
Everything has been true except for when he said the Broncos would go 6-11.
Because I watched the
last year.
Lego movie last night. Okay, everything is awesome.
Yeah, everything's cool when you're part of a team.
So week 2, Broncos home opener. Pittsburgh Steelers roll into town with the big bad Russell Wilson under center still probably. Giving him one more week to try and survive the NFL while teaching Jalen Rose.
Jalen Rose?
Wow. I don't know. An NBA thing popped up in the corner of my screen, and all of a sudden I thought of Jalen Rose instead of Jalen
man,
Hurts.
Nuggets legend,
Wow.
Jalen Rose.
Anyway, Russ leading the Pittsburgh Steelers into Denver, week 2. Home opener. Everybody's going to be seeing those new home orange and blue and white unis.
Whatever the hell they go with.
I'm excited to see those new unis because I think they're actually pretty nice. Let's go with Joe this time. Week 2 at home.
Week 2 at home. See, the problem is these are mediocre teams that if the Broncos were better, we could consider them being able to beat. The Broncos, we don't know what they're going to look like. Probably not going to be good. Again, I want to say if it's Russ, they win. If it's Fields, I'm scared, and I think it's going to be Fields. Fuck them. Taking the Broncos.
All right.
We'll go 2-0, and then we'll just lose the whole – oh, yeah, we're going to lose to Tampa Bay.
Colin?
When I sit here, obviously this is probably a bigger revenge game for Russ than it is the Broncos on Russ, at least player-wise. I think you're right. He will get a shot here. I don't know what's going to happen with the Broncos running game with where it stands right now and some of the injuries that have occurred. I'm a little nervous about how the front four looks and whether it's Najee Harris or Jalen Warren. I think that's what hurts the Broncos, and they lose this game.
I've seen Russ perform under pressure in a revenge sort of game, and it did not fare well. And I think this is one that Peyton will not let this team lose. It's going to be close, but I don't see Peyton accepting an L on this one. And for the first time, the Broncos will have a 2-game winning streak this season.
Yeah, since the year they played, was it Jacksonville, the Jets, and the Giants in the first 3 weeks?
Yep.
Heading to week 3, the Broncos will board an airplane and head to the little south of Florida there, actually a little bit higher up on the Mexican Gulf
Panhandle.
side. The Panhandle. And to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Colin, give us your philosophy on that game.
11 a.m. East Coast game. Broncos never do well in that. Rarely ever do well. I shouldn't say never, because they did beat the Jaguars in an 11 a.m. game that Joe just mentioned. Thank you, Urban Bourbon Meyer. But yeah, the Broncos lose this game.
Joseph?
Nick, you don't always get to go last.
It's
like
not
going last.
bourbon. That would have been funny.
Ooh, Pendleton. Ooh, yeah, that's good right there.
Yeah, and it's cheap. It's like $25.
Yeah, it's Canadian whiskey. It's really good though.
Yeah, but it's not
Mixed
bourbon.
with cherry Coke.
That would have been funny. No, you mix it with ice.
Well, you mix it with cherry Coke too. It brings out a little bit more of the flavor.
I can see that. I like cherry Coke better than regular Coke. No, I'm taking Tampa Bay. I mean, Broncos are my team. I love them, but like, they can't win that much early on. And if they do, I'm almost worried because they're gonna like get too cocky and fuck everything up. So yeah, I'm taking Tampa for sure.
And believe it or not, George isn't at home. The Broncos go into Tampa and walk out with the L this time.
Ooh, Nick's first
Again,
law.
same thing. They don't play well at 11 a.m. It's Tampa Bay, and this is still a learning team, and that's probably going to be a pretty bad beatdown.
Yeah, that's a playoff team. Like, Patrick Surtain can shut down Mike Evans. He can't shut down Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. He's only one guy.
Yeah. So head to week 4. The
Colin,
Broncos
did you say
on their-
lose also?
Oh yeah, it was clean
Okay.
sweep there. We head up to the Northeast and take on the Jets.
We got ourselves a nor'easter.
Ron and his favorite coach, Mr. Hatchet. Ron's running that offense. We all know that's really what's going on, unless he gets hurt again, snaps the other Achilles, or just drinks some bad ayahuasca. It's painful for me to say, but this begins the 2-game losing streak for the Broncos. Colin?
I gotta completely agree. The Broncos are 0-4 at this point with the loss to the Jets. It's another 11 a.m. East Coast game, back-to-back games on the East Coast. Especially these 2 games on the road are after the emotional Pittsburgh game. You mentioned it. It's Russ's return. You've seen him playing those games, and Peyton is going to get the guys up for that. But I also can see a big drop traveling east in back-to-back weeks, because there are a lot of young guys on this team who haven't had to do this yet, and they're victims of being a bad team. You get slotted in that early game a lot more often when you're not a good team.
Joel?
I just kind of want to only take the Broncos in revenge games and then just not anything else, because I want to beat Nathaniel Hackett and the Jets. The games I've gone to the past few years have been losses to the Jets, one of which was actually, I think both of which I was sitting next to Nick.
I think you were.
Yeah. It makes me sad. I want to stop doing that. I want Breece Hall to not go off for 200 goddamn yards every time we play the Jets. Which against an Aaron Rodgers team that is likely, that doesn't mean you're going to win. But it means the running back might not get a ton of yards. I want Nathaniel Hackett to lose. I feel like they're going to take as much control away from him as possible, so he won't be able to screw this up for the team. I want to pick a win, but I'm going to say loss.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, by the way. Right now, you're tuned into Undrafted Uncensored. We're doing our way too early Broncos schedule pick. We kind of waited a couple weeks to get the playoffs out of the way, and now we have a little time. So we are moving down. We're week 5 right now. Colin, at this point, has the Broncos 0-4. Joe and I have the Broncos at 2-2. So you can see where everybody stands here. Those of you that want to argue, the chat is open. So please jump on in.
Please tell me how big of an idiot I am.
Yeah. By not commenting, you're accepting that you agree with me.
Oh, well, then you better comment.
Moving on to week 5. The Broncos will be at home finally for the first time in 2 weeks, and they will host the dreaded Raiders.
The Raiders.
As Chris Berman would say, the Raiders. And it's a rivalry game. It's always fun. Go ahead, Colin.
I was just going to say, I kind of worry about this game because where I sit, if the Broncos start 0-4 with Stidham at quarterback or Zach Wilson, either one of those guys, this is where Bo Nix starts. This I think is the spot where it happens. I don't really like it. Once again, this is me kind of assuming that Bo gets a little gets a chance to acclimate to the NFL. And this is where I think they throw him in because the Raiders aren't that good of a team. But they do have Minshew at quarterback. Devontae Adams has been stifled by Patrick Surtain. In every game that Surtain has been on him, Devontae Adams has done basically nothing. So they lost Hunter Renfrow in this offseason, but they still have Jacoby Myers, who what did he do to the Broncos last year? And they got Brock Bowers as the tight end. And we all know how the Broncos deal with tight ends. And Minshew's definitely a fan of the tight end. Have you seen him?
Yeah.
This is a scary game coming back after those 2 road games. Is there going to be any wear and tear? I do think, though, this is the Broncos' first win on the season.
All right. I like it. Uh,
Hell yeah.
I'm gonna say after 2 weeks on the road, it's the Raiders game. I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. The fans are always pumped up for that game. It's a fun game to go to. It's mandatory. That's the only game a year my brother and I have to go to because my mom doesn't trust us giving our tickets to anybody else for just that game. It's a lot of fun. It's the Raiders. The fans are going to be into it, and I think that extra adrenaline, that extra juice, with the Raiders team that's still trying to write their own airplane at this point, that's falling out of the sky a little bit.
They ordered the
They
fish.
can walk away with a dub. Joe?
I feel like I've picked too many wins. But when has that ever stopped me before? Broncos, let's go. Is this? See, it doesn't say whether it's at or at home. Is this at home or
it's at
away?
home? It says it's home.
Yeah, I mentioned every time that.
Where
they
does
are
it
going
say
to
it
be
though?
at
Like,
or-
it doesn't give me an at, or it doesn't.
So see in
tell
front of
me.
where it says Saints, where the fleur de lis is.
It says
Uh-huh.
Right
at.
there, that it says at.
Okay, my computer's not showing that then because it shows nothing in front of to the left of the fleur de lis.
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
at.
Yeah, my computer has nothing with that. Anyway, it's fine. No worries. I'll put those things in later.
Well, you should listen because Nick says at or home.
Sure, but it should say it right there. I've been
Or if
drinking.
you look
I
to the
told you.
right where it
It
says
says
tickets,
Empower Field.
it tells you the venue.
Again, my computer's not showing those. It's a bunch of squiggles underneath the orange tabs. I can read Chargers and Raiders and Saints, and I can read the times, but it's not showing up other stuff. But that's
Anyway.
fine. So that's the home game. I'm taking the Broncos. Fuck it.
All right.
They're breaking the streak. They haven't beat the Raiders in too many years. It's infuriating. They need to do it. They're going to do it at home in front of the home crowd, similar to the way they did the Chiefs last year. It's got to happen eventually, and I want it to happen at home. So we're going Broncos. Fuck it.
Moving on to a week later, the Broncos will host the Los Angeles Chargers at home at Empower Field at Mile High Stadium in Denver, Colorado at 2:05
Where's this game
p.m.
at?
Yeah. So, Joe, since you just heard all the details, Broncos Chargers, who comes out of there?
I don't know, man. I think the Broncos can beat the Raiders. This it's tougher because Jim Harbaugh can maybe have them running on all cylinders, or he could be pissing everybody off and causing problems. I feel like at this point of the season, he'll still be pretty well liked. I don't know. It's hard to pick it's hard to pick the Chargers in general, but they're still a good team. Yeah, I hate it, but I'll take San Diego, founded by the Germans in 1904.
Cool. So nobody's going to win this game. Since they're
The
in
Germans
Los
might.
Angeles.
From 1904.
The Los Angeles Chargers. All right.
I'm
yeah,
putting SD too for the abbreviation.
this is a loss for the Broncos. Justin Herbert has his quarterback guy back Staley decided to unceremoniously get rid of. John Harbaugh is doing everything to make his quarterback happy. This team, even without Eckler or wide receivers, we know that it doesn't take wide receivers to beat the Broncos. All you need to do is run the ball. And one of the former Baltimore Ravens running backs will probably be healthy and run all over the Broncos. If not, it'll be their rookie. And the Broncos lose this game because both of these teams are devoid of talent. Yet the Chargers still have the better quarterback in this matchup, regardless of who the Broncos start.
And the defense, Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack. Yeah.
And Colin hit a lot of the things I was going to hit. They have those running backs that are just going to run all over that defense that's still trying to establish itself. They have Justin Herbert, and it's still early in the season, so it's easy to actually trust the Chargers early in the season to walk out of a place with against a bad team with a win.
I wouldn't go that far.
So it's early in the season still. Harbaugh can do whatever he wants. It's still early enough that they're like, we'll tolerate his shenanigans for now. They're just Harbaugh antics. Broncos walk out of there with the L. So clean sweep there for us. Moving on to week 7, the big storyline game as Sean Payton makes his return to the South, gets himself some dirty rice, and gets to play his former team at New Orleans in the Caesars Superdome at 6:15 on a Thursday. So quick turnaround. Colin, you look like you wanted to just jump in there right away.
Yeah, short week for the Broncos. New Orleans is going to beat the Broncos. They're staying at home for this game, and the Broncos seen them in too many primetime games as of late. And when they've been in primetime, it hasn't looked good. So give me the Saints.
Joe?
I mean, can you really count Thursday night football as prime time?
Yes, you can.
Technically, yeah, but man, I don't know. I mean, at least the Broncos are at home for this one. I feel like this. The Saints are one of those teams that even though they look better, I don't trust them to actually get the job done. But better quarterback, better running game, better receivers, probably a better defense. Yeah, I got to go New Orleans.
And this is one of those ones where I feel like New Orleans will take the L week 6 just to come in and take the dub week 7 to beat Sean Payton. He may not be up for this game, but I know they will be. They'll want to take down their former coach. And again, they're at home and they have all the cards stacked in their favor. Broncos with the L. So moving on to week 8, the Broncos will host the Carolina Panthers 2:25 p.m. at Empower Field at Mile High. One game break up their little road trip there. I still don't trust the Panthers. The Broncos actually have some fun with this game. I'm going to go with the W for the Bronx on this one. Colin?
I don't trust the Panthers totally either, but I don't know if I don't trust the Broncos at the same point because this is a classic kind of trap game. You're stuck in between a Thursday.
Yeah.
You have that extra time, a team that you should beat because as bad as the Broncos are, the Panthers are worse, at least with how Bryce Young looked last year. I do think Bryce Young takes a step this year and improves, but they still need a lot of help.
Yeah.
And I'm worried about this game. I'm going to say a Broncos win, but that might change as the season goes along, especially as we do our picks week to week. I kind of have a feeling I'm going to choose this one as a loss in season because it's a very classic trap game with the game after being in Baltimore and the Broncos looking ahead. So on paper right now it's a win, but I'm still kind of leaning towards it being a loss, even though I do believe this should be one of my limited number of wins for the Broncos.
Joe?
I kind of wish you hadn't said that because I kind of feel the same way. This is the game where the Broncos just fuck it up for one reason or another. They should beat Carolina, but I don't know. Maybe they put Adam Thielen somewhere where Pat Surtain can't cover him and he goes off. Maybe Andy Dalton starts. I'm kidding. I don't think he's even the backup anymore, but he could be. Who knows? I just feel like somehow, some way, the Panthers figure it out and the Broncos fuck it up. I've picked them to win too many other games this year too. So I feel like this is one. Yeah, the Panthers just figured out somehow. Maybe Chuba Hubbard has a great game.
So who's your pick?
I said Panthers.
Okay. It didn't really sound definitive, so that's why I asked. All right, week 9. Broncos head back east again for the 11 o'clock game at Baltimore, M&T Bank Stadium. Joe?
Yeah, there's no chance. I mean, if Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers are all hurt, maybe. But other than that, I don't see this going their way. But then again, I said they'd lose to Carolina, so who fucking knows?
Yeah, I've accepted the fact that this is going to be probably much like the Miami game last year. Baltimore's going to run all over the Broncos, and it is not going to be pretty. They'll take the L on that one, Colin.
Yeah, it's a loss. This could be although this could be the same feeling as the Carolina game for the Broncos, a trap game for the Ravens, because they do have this Ravens matchup. They have it mashed up in between two other divisional games for them, so they could take the Broncos lightly. I would not be surprised if the Broncos came out of this with a win because of the fact that Baltimore could easily overlook the Broncos. But yeah, it's a Baltimore win right now.
Yeah. If this was the Vic Fangio Broncos, I would take them to win this game, and I would guarantee they lose to Carolina, the terrible team, the week before, because that's always how they did that shit. Bless you, Colin, even though we couldn't hear it.
Week 10.
Because there's a mute button.
Exactly, yeah. But, I feel like this isn't the Vic Fangio Broncos, and they don't win games they shouldn't and lose games they shouldn't. So, yeah.
Week 10, the Broncos head to Kansas City. They'll be at Arrowhead Stadium for an 11 o'clock game on a Sunday afternoon or Sunday morning. We've all seen this song and dance before. Yeah, they beat the Chiefs last year, and I had a lot of fun with it. But we all know where the Broncos stand and how the Chiefs are. L.
Yep, give me the L2.
Yeah, that's pretty fair.
Boom, clean sweep. Heading down to the Dirty South, the Broncos will take on the Atlanta Falcons. I'm sorry.
That's it. Yeah.
Falcons come here. My bad. I read that wrong.
Well, they're going to take them on.
So the Falcons come to Denver, 2:05 p.m. at Mile High Stadium. Falcons are in a little bit of crisis right now because they kind of pissed off their quarterback. So they may have a rookie quarterback at that point. They may not. I think this might be one of those close games, but Falcons are still a little bit better than the Broncos.
Yeah, I think Kirk Cousins is back. They have too many weapons. Their defense was very underrated last year, but when you're talking about Kyle Pitts and Bijan Robinson and Drake London, then you add in Cordell Patterson on the offense. Tyler Algier is also a really good running back for that team. Kirk Cousins does not play great outside of a dome, so that is the one thing going in the Broncos' favor. So with that, still being said, they're just way too talented. Unless there's an uproar in Atlanta, they beat the Broncos.
Joe?
Yeah, this one's hard because they were terrible last year, but they were also terribly mismanaged. So I don't think we have a great barometer for how good the Falcons actually are. They were a very hard-nosed running team last year, but who knows what they're going to be this year. With Kirk Cousins, you still kind of want to have a pretty good running game because you combine a running game with Kirk Cousins, and you're actually a pretty damn good team. But do they actually figure that out? Does Cousins stay healthy? I'm going to take Atlanta, but I don't feel good about it.
Week 12, the Broncos will head to Sin City, play the Raiders at Allegiant Stadium. Raiders at home are always dangerous. It's later in the season. I think by that point they've kind of figured themselves out. Again, another close game. This one's a coin flip, in my opinion. I'll go with a win for now. I can't let the Raiders win.
So the Broncos are going to sweep the Raiders, is what you're saying?
Yes.
This is a loss for the Broncos at the end of the season, I think. By this point in time, we start to see the Broncos being checked out because in my mind, they've just come off of 3 straight losses and losing 5 out of 6. So, this is a loss for the Broncos in the Death Star.
Joe?
Well, according to my picks, I have them on a 6-game losing streak coming into this one. I don't feel like that gives them a better chance to actually win. It's just, I don't know, man. The Raiders team, they just have that grit to them. I feel like sweeping them is going to be really hard. But at this time of the year, it could be Aiden O'Connell because Minshew could have potentially gotten hurt, or they could have just lost too many games because they're not as talented as the Colts were with Minshew last year. Fuck the Raiders. taking the win.
Oh, wow. Okay. Week 13, Yuri comes back with his big contract to show off
Yuri,
all his
Montana.
skills with the Cleveland Browns. It's going to be in a 6:15 game on a Monday night at Empower Field at Mile High under the bright lights of Monday Night Football. Oh, Joe.
Yeah, Cleveland's too good. They went to the playoffs last year with Joe Flacco. Whoever their quarterback is probably beats the Broncos.
Colin?
Yeah, you don't know if it's going to be Deshaun Watson or not, but I expect I expect Nick Chubb to be fully back and going. And once again, the Broncos' Achilles heel has been against great running backs. So give me the Browns.
And I'm pretty sure by that point it will be Deshaun Watson. And the Broncos just cannot match up with Cleveland. Judy will still continue to drop the football, but the Broncos will also. And they will result in a loss. Week 14, they cannot lose that one. So finally a week off for them.
Here's my prediction. Judy has a terrible game, but the Broncos still lose.
And it's entirely possible. The Broncos. Moving on to week 15, the Indianapolis Colts come to Denver. A little bit of a short week, but not a normal short week. I still don't trust the Colts. They haven't quite proven it to me yet. Maybe I think that might be a sneaky win for the Broncos.
The Colts, this is one of those, if Anthony Richardson is healthy, the Broncos lose this game. If he's not, then it's Joe Flacco as their backup. Yeah. So
they lose the game?
They're probably going to lose it anyways there. You don't know who their third stringer is if Flacco gets hurt. But the Colts have a very dynamic offense. Michael Pittman, Jonathan Taylor. They did lose their running back to, the guy who stepped in for Jonathan Taylor?
Zach Moss.
Zach Moss. They lost Zach Moss in the offseason. But along those lines, they had another young wide receiver step up last year. I don't know. I'm blanking on his name. But, yeah, I think the Colts win this game. So it's a loss for the Broncos.
Joe?
I don't know how good the Colts are. I don't know how good Anthony Richardson actually is. He only played a few weeks last year. He looked good, but after you get an injury like that, it's just so hard to tell. I think the Colts might end up being one of those disaster teams after being really good the year before. I think the Broncos can get a win there.
Week 16, they head to SoFi in Los Angeles, California. Just before Christmas on Fox. It's the Chargers at late in the year. At that point, Chargers start falling apart.
Diego.
I don't trust the Chargers after about week 10. So I'm going to say the Broncos sneak out with a win. Colin?
The Broncos are losing this game. It's in Los Angeles.
It's the Chargers.
I don't like their history. Yeah, it's the Chargers. It's still Justin Herbert, John Harbaugh. I think John Harbaugh is one of those coaches. Well, might not really like him. He's a great coach.
You mean Jim Harbaugh?
He'll keep that team focused. And the charging days, I think it's limited or numbered for the amount of days that we can say the Chargers are going to charger while Harbaugh is their coach.
I mean, I do trust John Harbaugh, but that's the wrong team.
I thought it said Jim. No?
You've said John the past like 3 times.
Well, yeah, Jim.
Yeah, Jim.
Okay, who you got, Joe? Short on time.
I think the Broncos will beat Easton Stick.
So the Broncos are winning. Okay.
Week 17, heading to Cincinnati, which I will be here in about a month. This is a TBD game along with the Chiefs in week 18. The Broncos can't beat. They'll lose. The last 2. I'm just going to do the last 2. They're losses.
Bengals and Chiefs?
Yeah.
Gotcha.
That seems like a good idea. they would still lose to whoever the backup was last year that was actually pretty good for Cincinnati. So, yeah. And you can't beat Kansas City that many times, that many years in a row. I don't think it's going to work out. So, yeah, I like that idea, Nick. Just do both at the same time. They're both losses.
Yeah, both losses. Pretty rough way to end the season. Only way the Broncos end up winning that final game is because the Chiefs have everything clinched and nobody is playing, which is unlike Andy Reid anyway. So I doubt they win that game. Even though it is at home, it would be great to have that opportunity on New Year's for them to win.
All right, I got 7 wins for the Broncos. Colin has 2. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Joe has 6. So that's.
I hate the Broncos, obviously.
Well, we've known that for years.
Yeah.
You pretend to be a Broncos fan, but we all know where you really stand.
2 wins.
2 wins. Yeah.
Colin the Raider fan.
Number 1 pick.
I like how you think that's going to happen.
Ooh.
I like
All
how you
right,
think
so
that's going to happen.
would the number 1 pick be Travis Hunter?
The
It
number
depends on how good
one,
Nick's
the
does.
number 1 pick is going to be our victory formation.
That's not a player.
Is the victory formation.
All right, boys, here we go. Best play in football. 6 right tight diamond victory on 1. Break.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, it's jam.
The Pick'em segment, proving that Colin Zanker is the most humble man in the history of time. Or sorry, least. Featuring Nick Archuleta, wishing he was somewhere else. And Joe Goodwin, just kinda winging it.
That's right, everybody. This is the victory formation, the moment of the show y'all have been waiting for, because we know all those other picks were way too early. So these are the real games that we picked with fake money and the results and where we stand in competition with each other. Well, if one thing holds true, it is that if we sweep a category, we're all going to be wrong. The Cardinals end up beating the Phillies on Sunday Night Baseball last week, 5-4. So we all lose that game. Moving on to the NBA, we chose the Maverick Celtics in game 1. Me and Joe were the only ones smart enough to pick the Celtics, winning $14 each.
Yeah, I didn't know Dallas was going to not show up.
In the UFL, it was the San Antonio Brahmas versus the St. Louis Battlehawks, and in a 13-12 game, the Battlehawks come out victorious over the Brahmas, meaning that Nick and I both win 15-56.
XFL championship coming up, baby.
And
I like that
trust me, it's part of the pick'em. And then in the final game of our pick'em last week, we had the Stars versus the Oilers. And guess what? The Stars beat the Oilers, meaning Nick and I both got that correct. Joe was incorrect. Nick and I win 17-14 on our $10 bets, meaning this week I am the big winner at 3-1, winning $36.70.
Whoa.
Nick in second, winning $12.70, and Joe lost $16. Joe still in first place overall at $431.27. I'm in second, almost at 300 at $299.46, and Nick over the $200 mark at $204.65. So we're all showing a profit for this season so far. For those of you who are on Instagram, we will be losing this in a moment. We apologize for that. But to catch the end of our pick'em, you will have to tune into the YouTube or catch us, just catch the end of the show once it is posted. But
Facebook,
we start things off
Twitter,
where we left it off last week. We have the San Antonio Brahmas against the St. Louis Battlehawks. Battlehawks are favored at -170, while Brahmas are underdogs at +135. This is a chance to go to the first ever UFL championship game. Nick, who you got?
give me the STL, baby.
Of course, he's sticking with them, I figured. Joe, who you got?
Moo motherfuckers.
Yeah, he's sticking with his Brahmas. His team, my team is not around, so that's okay. I kind of knew these bets already, and I am gonna stick. Battlehawks worked for me last week. I'm gonna stick with them this week. Although the Brahmas really had a great chance at the end of that game to win it. The Brahmas blew it. We move on to Sunday Night Baseball. Los Angeles Dodgers visit Yankee Stadium two of the best teams in Major League Baseball right now matching up in what should be a great Sunday night baseball game. Finally, we've had a few duds. But with that being said, Joe, who you got?
Is Aaron Judge healthy or is he still hurt?
Oh, he's very healthy.
He's
healthy. Okay, so it's Juan Soto that's the only one that's hurt.
He's not even really hurt. They're just giving him kind of day-to-day right now.
He's just not playing.
Giancarlo Stanton got injured, right? Was it Giancarlo?
No.
Someone got injured yesterday.
Unless it was after the game. I haven't heard yet.
Yeah, so they were talking about it a little bit on overnight ESPN radio, and now I'm trying to remember what they said. Pretty sure the Dodgers won.
Yes.
Or no, they did.
Dodgers won on extras last night.
Okay, so Yamamoto couldn't quite pull it out. Fuck. Oh, no, wait, is Yamamoto the Dodgers guy?
He's the Dodgers.
Okay, I kept thinking he was Yankees. I'm going to take Yankees. Let's go. Got you, Nick.
Thank you.
I am taking the Dodgers in this game. Shohei Ohtani is on a tear as of late, even though, that young kid was throwing gas by him. He's still got one off of him. So Shohei, the Dodgers lineup is hitting the ball really well. You mentioned their comeback win last night in extras. So
it wasn't even a comeback. It was just
yeah.
Don't call it a comeback.
At that point, it was a good game.
They held on when Aaron Judge got the RBI also in the extra innings.
Yeah, it was close. I mean, it's gonna be. You said it's gonna be a good matchup. Glasnow against Luis Gil, and Gil's been locked in. He's gonna be at Yankee Stadium. So, I mean, obviously, we all knew I was gonna pick the Yankees anyway.
So moving on, Nick's got the Yankees. We move on to
what? Nick has the Yankees?
We are picking between the Seattle Storm and the Minnesota Lynx. Lynx are favored in this game at -140. Storm underdogs at +120. They are playing in the WNBA Commissioners Cup currently. So they're cool in-season tournament. Awesome. I am going to go Seattle. Nick.
I'm sorry, I was half paying attention. I was trying to get this Instagram to kind of work again. But who were my choices?
Seattle Storm and Minnesota Lynx.
Give me Minnesota.
Joe.
I don't want to pick Seattle. That's it. We're going Minnesota.
And we move on to game 3 of the NHL playoffs. We all know the Oilers won game 1. They're playing at home tonight against the Panthers. So we move on to game 3 in Florida, where the Oilers are underdogs currently at +125. Panthers favorites at -145 in game 3. Joe, who you got?
In game 3?
Yeah, it's game 1 there, guy. They haven't started the finals yet.
We're gonna skip to game 3?
Finals
I'm fine with that.
Oh no, David won. Which one?
That's kind of funny. Like, fuck it. Let's just not pick games 1 and 2 and just skip to 3. I'm totally okay with that. I just want to make sure that's what we're doing.
Yeah, finals starts.
No,
tonight.
okay, I skipped ahead 2 dates on my phone. You're right. So actually, that is tonight's game. No, I skipped ahead 2 nights on the game, and it was the last game that was played. It wasn't this game. So you're right. Yeah. So it is game 1. We're picking game 1. My bad. Who wins game 1? Oilers or Panthers?
I like it either way. I just got to know which one I'm picking because game 3 requires more thought. Like, fuck, how's this going to go? Game 1, the higher seed is Florida, right?
Yeah, it's at home in Florida.
It's in Florida. Yeah, they're just too big and too mean. I'm gonna take good old Kachuk, Nick's favorite hockey player.
Give me the Oilers. The young kids, Draisaitl and McDavid, finally are figuring it out, and the Oilers are on the tear. So,
yeah. Oh, real quick, since we haven't picked any games, who do you think for the series? Not like for a victory.
Nick's still got to pick this game, and then we can make a decision on that.
That's true. Good point. But we don't have to make it a victory formation thing either. Just like we didn't pick NBA finals, but I think we should also.
Yeah, we're also over by time.
Yeah.
So.
Well, who cares? At this point, we're already over. So.
Well, if anybody's
like-
on Instagram, we've had a couple of Instagram people that can't watch us now.
Yeah, it's like second apron. At that point, who cares?
Anyway, I hate the fact that they destroyed La Bamba, but I'm gonna go with the Oilers, even though I'm really mad at them right now.
And we have our championship series pick'ems with. First, we're going to start off. Are we all taking Boston?
Yeah, that was a little too much of an ass whipping.
I mean, my original pick would have been Dallas, so I kind of want to stick with that, even though game one happened. But yeah, they didn't. Like I said, the key was the bigs for Dallas, Gafford and Lively. They did not come out to the paint or come out from the paint and actually cover Porzingis in the way that they should have. It doesn't mean they can't. I would have taken Dallas. I'll stick with Dallas.
All right. So, yeah, I had Boston from the start. I actually kind of said I felt like Boston could sweep the Mavericks. And obviously with the way game one went, that looks very possible in the NHL. Are we going with the Oilers in a matchup that is much more even than, in my opinion, than Boston and Dallas? Is Edmonton or the Panthers? Which team comes out on top of the Stanley Cup Finals and lifts Lord Stanley Cup? Joe.
Lord. I mean, yeah, I said who we should pick it, so I should go first. I'm going to lean towards Edmonton. I feel like they've got the goal scoring. They don't have the defense and size. I don't know how – I know the Panthers are deeper. I don't know enough about hockey to know. I just know more guys in Edmonton, and I feel like Canada wants that championship more than America does. The guys in Florida don't even know it's happening mostly. There's plenty of like OG hockey fans for sure, but like I'm going to go with Canada getting their first win since, was it 93?
92.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree. Edmonton gets it done. They win this series against Florida. That place is going to be a madhouse up there for those games, and I don't know if Florida has experienced anything like that. And when I mentioned I saw the Panthers, I know it was last season, but that team just looked so slow, and they still look a lot slower and defensive focused. I think the offense, especially in the playoffs for Edmonton, really gets a chance to shine. So give me Edmonton as well. Nick?
Again, they screwed up La Bamba, and I want to be mad at them, but I can't let Florida win, so go Oilers.
Fuck, so Florida's winning then.
Yep, Florida's winning. All right, cool. Sounds good.
That's it.
Well, that does it for the victory formation, where we all lose because we chose the same series winner.
You settled it. Congratulations to the Stanley Cup champion Florida Panthers.
Well, thanks everybody for tuning in today. We appreciate you that listen to us debate way too early about how the Broncos are going to do. We appreciate Michael Spillane and everybody over at E5280sports.com for hosting us, sharing us, loving us, keeping us, hugging us, but not kissing us. That's okay, though. For Collins Anchor, Joe Goodwin, I'm Nick Archuleta. Once again, this has been the Undrafted Uncensored. Make sure to like, share, follow. Find us everywhere on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Well, not Twitter yet. I'll get there one day.
You can find me on
obviously
Twitter.
Twitch, E5280sports.com for everything. Thanks, everybody. We take care and love you.
Bye.
I should put my Twitter up here. It's at Joe Losebad. I still haven't.